Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in again. This is my third video, and for those who have been here since the first video, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. Before I dive in, I just want to remind you guys that this video can trigger some of you. So with that being said, do not hesitate to pause or stop watching this video. So I hope that all of you guys are taking care of yourselves, because self-care is very important, especially right now during this pandemic. If you're new to this, you just landed on this video randomly, or you just decided to tune in finally, make sure that you guys watch the first video and then go on, because then after this video is not gonna make any sense to you and you're gonna be like, what, like, whoa. So as I explained the last video, this video I'm gonna only talk about my middle school days, so my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years. So one thing I didn't mention the last video, and it's very huge, but I wanted to bring this up during this video. I just thought it would flow better within this video. So what I didn't mention to you guys, my mom had met somebody. This guy ended up coming into all of our lives as a father figure. I was in the 1st or 2nd grade. I honestly don't even remember. We were all little. I know that my sister was barely 1 for sure, so it was probably the first, most likely it was the 1st grade. She decided that she wanted him to move in with us, and I still remember the first day he moved in, he ended up bringing a PlayStation. I believe it was a PlayStation for my brothers. And right away, the moment he walked in, I just had this really awful feeling, and I was just watching. My brothers were so happy. You know, for boys, video games is everything. So they were stoked, they were happy, especially because, reminder, we grew up with absolutely nothing. The way we had fun, we went out and did our own thing, playing with each other and all that out in the streets. So this was huge for my brothers. But me, I always felt like he just always tried to buy his way in. So he would just try to spoil us. But me, I wasn't buying it. I was not buying it one single bit. For me, like, as much as this sounds crazy, but I honestly, like, the moment I meet somebody, I just automatically get this vibe, whether it's a good vibe, like I'm gonna get along with this person just perfectly, or I get a vibe like, no, just something doesn't sit with me. And I, believe it or not, my instincts, my gut is always, and I mean always, right. He won everybody's hearts over. It was a new experience for everybody in the household. I gave in here and there a little bit just because I was just new to this. We were all new to this, to the situation. We didn't know what to expect or how to take all of this in, because our dad was completely different than this new individual who wanted to be our fathers and try to take over his place. But of course, me in my heart, I've always known that I will only have one father, and no one in this world will ever take his place. So with that being said, I was going into my 6th grade year. I remember my mom, my siblings, and we went over my grandmother's house because my mom's boyfriend wanted to be at home by himself, and he wanted to bring over a friend, and they wanted to drink. And then he ends up calling my mom because they locked themselves outside. because they had gone to the store to buy more beer. And I remember the whole ride home, I was nervous. For some reason, I was just nervous. And we got here, and I remember him and his friend were just staring at me. But a stare that just wasn't right. I didn't even want to pass by them because that's how uncomfortable the stare was from the both of them. So, I was just like, whatever. They were drunk. They were both drunk, you could tell. And of course, I knew because my dad was an alcoholic. So I could tell right away that they were both drunk. So, whatever. We all went in. We all got ready for bed. The house was quiet. We were all asleep, including me, until my body woke up to a hand groping my thigh. The hand was slowly moving towards my private parts, and I had my eyes shut. My heart was pounding. I was so scared. I was in shock. I didn't want to move. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know who it was until he whispered in my ear and told me that he was going to do things to me that I was gonna like. And right before he was about to touch me down there, I jumped up and ran. And it was my mom's boyfriend. I just remember I could hear his footsteps right behind me. And I ran to my mom, and I was shaking her to wake her up. And I told her that he tried to rape me and what he told me. And she just told me to wait in her room, and she was gonna go and find him and talk to him. So I did what she told me. I stood by her door listening, and then I heard her talking to him. He was in the kitchen. She told him that she knows what he did, and he was saying that he was sorry, that he didn't mean it, that he was drunk. And she ended up coming back, and she told me not to tell anybody what had happened and for me to go back to sleep. How was I supposed to go back to sleep? After that, it was never the same for me, and the relationship between me and my mother and her boyfriend. Nothing was the same. I didn't feel comfortable at all because my mom still stood with him. Till this day, she is still with this man, and I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't. I was young. If my mom didn't do anything about it, I thought, who else would? This is my mother. She's the one who's supposed to protect me. So 7th grade rolled around. That year, I literally just completely stopped talking to her boyfriend. Like, I just had enough. He always made me uncomfortable. Like, he would slap my butt and my little sister's butt, and my mom wouldn't say anything. But what had happened to the beginning of 6th grade, it was triggering for me when he would slap me on the butt, and he would laugh. He thought it was a joke. And finally, I had the courage to tell my mom. Like, it made me super uncomfortable, and even made me more uncomfortable for the fact that he would do it to my little sister, because I didn't want my sister to go through the same thing that I did, because it really does tear somebody apart. So my mom understood where I was coming from, and she told him to stop doing it. And I remember when she told him, and he got so mad. His excuse was, these are my daughters, like, I'm not even doing it to be inappropriate, blah blah blah. Like, no. And I'm thankful that my mom still stood up to him and said, like, still though, like, no. So he stopped doing that. 7th grade, I also had met this guy at my local Boys and Girls Club. He was basically my first love, As I grew up, I realized, like, no, I wasn't in love. It was more of a lust. I met him in the beginning of my 7th grade year as well. Literally that same week. I mean, I was young, I was dumb. That same week that I met him, I ended up getting with him, which was a horrible mistake. But this relationship that I had with this guy, it really helped me grow and understand myself more. And I realized what I was worth, because the whole entire time, the moment we got together, he was already cheating on me. When I got with him, he was already with some other girl. This guy that I got with, he was 3 years older than me. So when I got with him, he was 15. So he was in high school already, and I was only in middle school. I was a 7th grader. He was messing around with so many other girls. I always tried to get out of the relationship. It was always me leaving him. Every time he would come up with some excuse, either that he was in the hospital, or that he was sick, that he needed me, or his mom did this to him, or his dad did this to him, or this happened with his brother. It was always an excuse from him every time I tried to leave him. And me, the nice person that I am, I felt guilty. I felt bad. Like, I can't leave him now. Like, I can't leave him right now. Like, he's going through so much. Like, I need to be there for him. And this really took a toll on me, as well as what had happened to me with my mom's boyfriend. Everything just came crashing down on me. Like, honestly, guys, like, I'm not even bullshitting you guys. Even my own brothers were my bullies. Excuse my language, guys, but I was taking so much bullshit from everyone around me. If it was not one thing, it was another from another person. It just drove me to the edge. I remember I had this metal wire. I started cutting my arm. I honestly was trying to kill myself. I couldn't take it anymore. And the guy that I was dating, I told him what I was doing to myself. And I remember he just blew up. He got so mad. He was telling me that I was stupid, I was dumb, that why am I trying to kill myself, and that the reasons why I was doing it was stupid. And sorry guys, sorry for my language, but I'm just being honest with you guys. And so I stopped. After a while, I realized, like, he is right though. I shouldn't be doing this to myself. But even then, I still here and there would cut myself. Like my 7th grade year, I was cutting myself throughout the whole entire year. I grew out of that eventually, because I did end up telling somebody what had happened to me. And they talked to me and told me that I needed to stop cutting myself. And they made me feel appreciated, and they made me realize how much more I'm worth, and they made me realize how strong of an individual I am. So that was my 7th grade year. My 8th grade year, I was still dating this same dude. In the beginning of my 8th grade year, I had gone over his house. We were laying in his bed. He got on top of me, and I know he did this on purpose, because he sat on my legs in this position where I couldn't move my leg. He held me down with his arms. He started going for my pants, and he started unbuckling them, taking them off. I was scared to yell, because I also knew that his family didn't know I was in the house. So I was scared to even yell or scream for help, because I myself was scared to get in trouble. And so I was telling him, stop, no. And he just kept going and going. He took off my pants, he took off my underwear, and he forced his way inside of me. And I closed my eyes. The whole entire time I was just crying with my eyes shut. And it hurt so bad. I just remember he stopped When I opened my eyes, he was just staring at me. He just had the most disappointed face, and he just rolled over and he had his back turned to me, and I just heard him crying, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Eventually he turned back around to face me, and he just told me that he was sorry. I didn't understand what was happening, what was going on. I was so confused. I put my clothes back on and I left. And soon after, he texted me telling me that supposedly he had told his mom what happened, and that his mom told him that never to have sex with a girl unless she says that she wants to. So he told me that he will never have sex with me again unless I tell him that I want to. And still I didn't understand until I was in college, and I realized that this mother effer raped me, and he admitted it. That was his confession to me. And it's crazy because so many people go through this, and sometimes the law will not even allow it to be considered rape just because the individual is their partner. That's the world we live in. So the way I want to end this video today is just to let all of you know, if you find yourself in a situation where you feel lost, confused, or feel like it's your fault, 10 out of 10 times, it is never your fault. One thing people need to understand, society likes to say that the individual who gets sexually assaulted is because they were asking for it, because they were calling for it. One thing you need to know, society is always wrong. Society always likes to put people in a box. We do not live in a box. We live in a free country. So you have every right to speak up and say whatever you want to say. But know, sometimes there is consequences, because society just loves to do that, especially to people from minorities. They face the most backlash. And I wish I would have came forward a long time ago about everything that had happened to me. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And no matter what, no matter who tells you, right or wrong, do what you feel in your heart is right. Don't ever feel like you need to bury your secrets. If you do, they always come back around. That's why I always encourage everybody to come here with an open mind, positivity, and wanting to change, not only for themselves but the people around them, because I want to build a community here where you can feel free to say whatever you want, whatever you need to say, honestly. I wish I could have had some sort of community where I can just go and say what I wanted to say. But for so long, I hid these secrets, and they only destroyed me more and more. Always remember, you are not alone. You are not alone. You never will be alone. Take care of yourselves. Keep fighting. And just know that people love you. And even though I might not know you, or if I do know you, just know I love you. And you will always have a place in my heart. And I'm always here to listen to you, to help you in any shape or form. This is not the end. There is still more to come. I'll see you all next week again. If you haven't already, subscribe. Leave me comments, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. I'm always curious what's on your guys' minds. And I just send lots of love, hugs, and kisses.